Global cybercrime is an ever-growing and increasingly heinous challenge, and it will take collective international efforts to fight it.
Hi, and welcome to GAO's Watchdog Report, your source for news and information from the U.S. Government Accountability Office. I'm your host, Holly Hobbs. The United States and its global partners are experiencing a massive wave of cybercrimes. Here in the U.S., federal law enforcement have received record numbers of complaints in recent years, which include a wide array of internet-based scams affecting victims around the world. What's being done to fight these crimes? We'll find out more from GAO's Latesha Lovegrayer and Kevin Walsh, who have a new report for Congress about global cybercrime. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
So, Kevin, can you give us an idea of the scale of this problem and how it's grown?
Sure. It's hard to know exactly how many incidents there are because many companies don't fully report attacks, and individuals such as ourselves may not even know that they have been hacked. However, when we asked the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, they said that in 2021 they received a record number of cyber complaints, over 840,000, and potential losses exceeded $6.9 billion. So we're talking about a large problem that is only going to continue to grow, Holly.
And do we know why there's this wave and why it's happening now?
We didn't actually meet with any hackers. None of them would agree to sit down with us. So we're unsure exactly why from their perspective. But what we see is that there's a low barrier to entry, so it's easy to do. It's fairly profitable, and it's very hard to attribute who exactly did the hacking. So it seems like this is only going to get easier and bigger as we go.
So what's being done in the U.S. to fight global cybercrimes?
So the United States does many things to fight global cybercrime. For example, DHS has its Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. The National Security Agency also does a lot to help protect us. However, talking about globally, what we do to work with our global partners, a lot of times we do information sharing. Hey guys, here's the kind of hacks we're seeing, or here's the threats that we see. We also work to train them up, to provide advice on how to reform legislation or their legal infrastructure, and then work with them on their policies, strategies to try and make sure that they are more resistant to cyber efforts.
Clearly, this is a growing issue. Do we know what challenges the U.S.'s efforts face?
Yeah, we talked to a panel of both federal experts and international experts, and the gist is there are a lack of resources, and that means both people as well as money and technology. They also have a hard time holding on to the staff once they have trained them up. The U.S. government's ability to provide assistance, so a lot of times there's a lot of demand for our experts to provide the training, and we can only do so much. Rapidly evolving technology, as you know, technology continues to grow in leaps and bounds, and an inconsistent definition of cybercrime. That means that not everybody agrees on what exactly cybercrime is and isn't, and that can be hard if you're working to address things that a country may or may not consider bad.
Latesha, this is a global problem. How is the U.S. working with global partners to combat cybercriminals?
Well, you're right. International crime syndicates, terrorists, and individuals alike can all be involved in committing cybercrime. And we know that there are countries who have government-sponsored organizations who are very actively engaged in committing international cybercrime, including China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. As a result, we have to work together internationally to combat this type of criminal behavior. So state and DOJ and DHS conduct a range of activities with international partners. For example, DOJ provided technical assistance and training and equipment to Nepal to build their police force's capabilities and capacity to investigate cybercriminals. And DHS has collaborated with participants from the international law enforcement academies in areas like the Caribbean and Thailand and Botswana and other places to leverage their intelligence and to help build relationships with each other so that they are able to combat cybercrime in their regions. And state, who has a leading role in the diplomatic side and in other ways, provided, for example, legislative drafting advice to Brazil and Tonga and Nigeria on how to strengthen their laws to conform with international cyber norms.
So when we looked at these efforts, did we find any gaps?
Yes, we did. We're GAO. We often do find gaps. And before I get to them, I do want to give a little bit of credit here. That we did see a range of activities that agencies were conducting, and state, DOJ, and DHS all were taking some steps to evaluate results of very specific activities. However, what we found is that there was no big picture look. No big picture look at whether these collective efforts are having the impact that we hope and intend for them to have. As a result, we don't know whether the U.S. is achieving its overarching goals in trying to combat global cybercrime. We don't know whether certain activities are working very effectively and we need to expand those, or whether there's activities that are less effective and we need to shift resources away from those areas. So there's more that needs to be done in being able to assess the effectiveness of these efforts.
So Kevin and Latesha just told us that cybercrime is a growing issue, and that while the federal government is taking steps to address this threat at home and abroad, agencies face a number of challenges and have not assessed their efforts. So Latesha, what do we think needs to happen to improve efforts to fight global cybercrime?
Well, we think that state, which is the agency that has the overarching responsibility for coordinating internationally with other countries and building the capacity of other countries, that state should conduct an evaluation of all of the activities that it's conducting and that it's funding in other agencies to combat global cybercrime, to determine how effective these collective efforts have been. We've made a recommendation to them to do just that. And we do know that this is not the kind of thing that's going to be done overnight. It's going to take time. It's going to take collaboration and working with other agencies. But we're really looking forward to the actions that state is going to take to address that issue.
And last question, what's the bottom line of this report? Latesha, maybe you can start us off.
The bottom line is global cybercrime is an ever-growing and increasingly heinous challenge, and it will take collective international efforts to fight it. State, DOJ, DHS, they're among the agencies that are conducting a variety of activities in this area. However, they have not taken a big picture look at whether all of these activities are working and achieving the goals that they need to achieve. And that's something that state needs to do.
And Kevin?
So to build on that, I've got a cooking metaphor. So it's as if we're making sure we have the best strawberries and the best pickles and the best crackers, but nobody's sitting back and saying, well, what kind of sandwich is that going to be? We need to have somebody sitting back and taking that comprehensive look across all of the government's efforts and making sure that we're all working together in tandem to make that great cyber sandwich.
That was Latesha Love-Grayer and Kevin Walsh talking about GAO's report on global cybercrime. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you for listening to the Watchdog Report. To hear more podcasts, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And make sure to leave a rating and review to let others know about the work we're doing. For more from the Congressional Watchdog, the U.S. Government Accountability Office, visit us at gao.gov.